When you look at professional real estate photography, you're not just looking at granite countertops or stainless steel appliances.
No, not at all.
You're looking at a vision, a meticulously crafted, flawless idea of a home.
Exactly. And the job of someone like Mark Carter is to erase every imperfection, smooth over every little stain, and just present this perfect facade. It's all about control.
And that idea of control is, I think, completely central to this deep dive we're doing today.
It absolutely is. We're looking at the life and the disappearance of Mark Carter, a man whose whole career was based on creating perfect images.
But his own life was built on a lie that was about to crumble.
And the sheer intensity required to keep that lie hidden for 20 years, that's what makes this case so compelling.
So that's our mission today. We're going to unpack this duality of Mark Carter for you using the sources we have. How did this stable, meticulous professional in Lake Norman, North Carolina, get consumed by a past he thought he'd buried 2 decades ago?
And we have to start with the disappearance itself. Because, the scene he left behind is maybe the most confusing part of the whole story.
It really is.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get into the logistics. Mark Carter was a well-known, very reliable real estate photographer in Lake Norman of Catawba, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
He vanishes on a Tuesday, late October. And the alarm isn't even raised by his family. It's a client.
Right. He fails to show up for a photo shoot. And not just any photo shoot. It's $1 million listing in a place called Chestnut Hill.
Which, for a guy whose entire reputation was built on being meticulous, on being reliable, that's just not something that happens.
No, it's a catastrophic failure for his brand. He just didn't miss jobs. Period.
So when the police go to check on him, the scene in his home is, it's pristine, almost staged.
Yeah, his house, this immaculate modern home, the kind of place he'd photographed, it was just normal.
His car was in the garage. The front door was unlocked.
And here's the detail that really gets me. His camera bag, with thousands of dollars of lenses and Gaia, was sitting neatly on a table.
As if it was ready for the next day's shoot.
Exactly. So the scene itself suggests a temporary absence, like maybe he ran a quick errand. But everything else screamed that something was very wrong.
No signs of a struggle, no forced entry, nothing.
Nothing at all. So based on that, the police, they initially classify it as a voluntary missing person case.
And I want to pause on that classification for a second, because this is where the perfect image Mark had built for himself actually became a problem for the investigation.
It creates this huge dissonance, right? The physical evidence says he might be back in an hour.
But his whole life, his persona, screamed he would never just leave.
He was a devoted dad to 2 kids. He'd recently gone through a divorce, sure, but he was very active in their lives. No known financial issues, no real enemies to speak of.
So his family and friends, they pushed back hard. They said it was impossible.
And they saw something the police missed in those first 48 hours. They saw the stability he'd worked so hard to project. The police saw a clean scene, but the family saw a man whose routines were rigid.
Whose commitment was absolute.
Yeah. And they knew the cracks in that perfect image weren't going to be found in his Lake Norman home. They had to be somewhere else, somewhere deeper.
So if his present life was all about building this flawless, perfect image, where did he learn that intense need for control?
And that's where we have to peel back the layers. We have to go back 2 decades.
This is where the story shifts completely. It stops being a standard missing person case and becomes something else entirely.
We're going back in time to a prestigious liberal arts college in New England. And the Mark Carter you find there is, he's not the quiet photographer. The sources we have describe him as intense, someone who ran with a tough crowd.
And it wasn't just any tough crowd. This group had a name. The Centurions.
Yes. And that name carried a lot of weight on campus.
What kind of weight are we talking about?
The Centurions were this elite, secretive club, and membership wasn't about parties or socializing, it was about power.
Status.
They were known for these hazing rituals, these boundary-pushing psychological games. That's the term the records use. And it wasn't about making people uncomfortable. It was about breaking them down, establishing dominance, and forging this lifelong bond through shared extreme experiences.
We have this account from a former classmate, a woman named Sarah Jenkins. She said they were into really dark stuff.
That their pranks went way too far.
And she specifically connects it to a lot of talk about power. And Mark Carter, the quiet photographer, was apparently a prominent central figure in all of this.
It's the ultimate duality, isn't it? The same rigid control he used to create perfect photos is probably the same mechanism he used to keep his college secrets buried. He was the architect of his own reality.
And investigators eventually found the darkest secret of all. They connected the Centurions to a cold case, the disappearance of another student, Elias Vance.
Exactly. When the investigation pivoted to Mark's college years, they uncovered these sealed police reports. Elias Vance went missing right around the time Mark was deep in with the Centurions.
His body was never found. The case went cold, classified as a mysterious disappearance.
And here is the crucial link. Mark Carter was interviewed by police about Elias Vance's disappearance back in the day.
But never charged.
Never charged. But the original lead investigator noted that Mark's testimony was suspicious, that he was uncooperative. And that note just sat in a file for 20 years.
So you have to ask yourself, right, if he didn't just walk away and he had no enemies in the present, was it possible that this foundation he'd built his life on was finally cracking?
Was the past finally coming to collect?
The investigation in Lake Norman was completely stalled until they got a breakthrough. And it didn't come from regular detective work.
No, it came from an anonymous source. This is where it gets very, very specific.
An anonymous tip.
Which is so often what breaks these old cases open, right? It's someone who has been holding on to something, and the risk of silence finally becomes greater than the risk of speaking out.
So what was the tip?
It was physical evidence. A small water-damaged memory card was mailed to the police station. No return address, just the card.
Wow. A very deliberate act.
Oh, absolutely. The sender wanted the truth out, but needed total anonymity.
And the footage on that card, it just blew Mark Carter's carefully constructed life wide open. It was from the night before he vanished.
What it showed was Mark in a heated meeting, a really intense confrontational argument with another man.
But the man's face was obscured.
Completely hidden by shadow, maybe a hat, maybe just the angle of the camera. But it proved that just hours before he voluntarily disappeared, Mark was being confronted about something serious.
And that tip, that footage, that was the leverage the police needed.
It was everything. They immediately started re-interviewing the old Centurion members, but this time they had proof that someone was looking for Mark, that the past wasn't buried anymore.
And the pressure worked.
It shattered the pact. One of them finally broke the silence they'd all held for 20 years.
What did he confess?
That Elias Vance had died during a hazing ritual that had gone horribly wrong, and that Mark Carter was central to the cover-up.
He helped dispose of the evidence.
And enforced the code of silence that held for 2 decades. But the question remained, who was the shadowed figure in the video? Who was seeking justice?
It was Elias Vance's older brother.
Yes! He'd been doing his own investigation for years, trying to find out what happened to his brother. He was the one confronting Mark, bringing the full weight of the past right to his doorstep.
In this one confession, this one piece of footage, it just changed everything legally.
Instantly. The police reclassified the case. Mark Carter's disappearance was no longer considered a voluntary missing person.
It was now a potential abduction.
A potential abduction directly linked to what he did in college. The distinction is so critical. He didn't walk away from his life. His past caught up and dragged him away.
So that immaculate scene the police found wasn't a sign he was coming back.
No, it was the final, perfect image, the last facade he left behind before it all came crashing down.
So when you put it all together, what this really means is that Mark Carter, the architect of perfect images, vanished because that flawless facade he built for 20 years finally crumbled.
It was exposed by his own past and by this relentless pursuit of justice. It's a tragic synthesis of a life. He built this incredible stability by controlling every little detail, only for the one thing he couldn't control, his own youth, to resurface and destroy him.
And what's the current status of the case?
As of the reports we analyzed, Mark Carter is still missing.
But the Elias Vance cold case from 1993 has been officially reopened. It's now a homicide investigation.
Yes, and investigators are actively searching for what they believe are Mark's remains. They think they're hidden on a property linked to another old college friend, someone who helped with that original cover-up.
The irony is just, it's immense. A man who spent his career making homes look spotless and perfect was living a life stained by a secret he could never wash away.
It really forces you to think, doesn't it? How much of what we present to the world, just like those real estate photos, is a curated image? And how fragile is it really? How easily can the truth buried just beneath the surface be exposed?
You truly never know anyone.
You don't. And sometimes you don't even know the people who spend their lives helping you sell a dream. And that's something worth thinking about long after the picture's been taken.